Could you explain to someone new to the topic in 2 sentences on why the situation isn't a genocide? Genuine question. The genuine response is that genocide is a special crime that has 2 elements. One of the elements requires some kind of destruction of a people or taking away of their children or sterilization, something like that, an obvious thing. But the second part is a highly specialized intent to destroy a group of people in whole or in part. And that highly specialized intent is what makes genocide so unique. And there are so many things related to genocide that don't apply to modern military conflict that you should take note of, because when you start to apply genocide in the way it's being applied to Israel, it basically would be applied to every single conflict. And it's very obvious, for instance. So, there are things that you can just, think about. When you look at the, in a genocide, would somebody make humanitarian aid available to their enemy? Probably not, right? Doesn't seem reasonable. In a genocide, can one side surrender, right? Do you have the option, I want to surrender so that you stop genociding me? Probably not, because the goal of a genocide isn't a military or territorial in aims. It's the destruction of a people in whole or in part. The idea that it's happening in response to a provoked military action, right? And then the response is military. There are too many things where it's the special intent to eliminate a group of people in whole or in part doesn't seem to be there. But if you want to say that it's there, then it's going to require you to take a look at every single military conflict and go, well, hold on, are all of these military conflicts genocide? There has to be a differentiation there. Yeah. What is your take on a full military invasion into Rafah? Do you support Netanyahu's position or the Biden administration? I don't know what the Biden administration's actual position is. I think the invasion to Rafah it needs to happen. You can't go this far and then stop, right? Does the special intent for ethnic cleansing, like pushing them into Egypt, count as genocide? There is no such ethnic cleansing. Is not a real thing. That's a term that we've used. I think the first time it was used, I think, was in '91. That we use when we're talking about kicking a bunch of people out of an area. If you want to talk about ethnic cleansing, you can, but that's it's taking population transfer, which is generally pretty bad, and it's highly moralizing and highly normatively loading what population transfer is, which oftentimes can be really bad. But again, ethnic cleansing, any time people are fleeing from an attack, is that ethnic cleansing? What? It doesn't. It's another normatively loaded word that, yeah. Why do pro-Palestinians act like the entire conflict is just one long history of Jewish violence against Palestinians, even though Palestinians were the ones who started the violence when they began massacring Jewish immigrants back during the Mandate period? I don't know, bro. History starts in 1967, I guess. Why do you think the conflict specifically has turned many young people to single-issue voters? Of all the issues in foreign conflicts, why is this one so special? I've already said this a million times. It's a good intersection between a lot of different things that young people care about. Why are people more mad about Hamas/Israel than Ukraine when it's less significant and less clear-cut than the latter? The moral outrage seems mismatched compared to realities on the ground. Sure, but that's how it goes. Do you think people choose deliberately divisive topics to obsess over online? Do you think the Israel-Palestine stuff being controversial makes it more attractive as a thing for a young person to base their whole identity around? Maybe, but think about it. Divisive stuff is always going to be more... It's by definition, it's divisive. There's not going to be huge movements online being we need to say that it's not okay to have a kid. Yeah, obviously, everybody knows that. It's not. We need to take a strong stance against murder. We need to take a strong stance against mugging people in the street. Yeah, obviously, nobody disagrees. You're not going to have a why would you unite around this? Nobody cares. Or it's not that nobody cares. Can you address this news? Hamas offered to release all civilian hostages on October 9th. Israel refused. This was never about the hostages. We later found out that Hamas had offered on October 9th or 10th to release all the civilian hostages in exchange for the idea of not entering the Strip, but the government rejected the offer. This is the least surprising thing in the world. What do you mean? You hop across the border, you kill 1,200 people, and as long as you take 200 hostages back, you can release them back in and there'll be no retaliation? That's wild. What are you talking about?
Has apparently a wonderful little segment called that his community calls when they look at victims of sexual assault and find ways to poke holes in their arguments. So that's cool. With respect to hostages, the mission team found clear and convincing information that some have been subjected to various forms of conflict-related sexual violence, including sexualized torture and sexualized, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, and it also has reasonable grounds to believe that such violence may be ongoing. Let's see. The mission team reviewed incidents of alleged sexual violence related to hostages in Gaza. Based on first-hand accounts of released hostages, the mission team reviewed clear and convincing information that sexual violence, including torture and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment occurred against some of the women and children during their time in captivity and has reasonable grounds to believe that this violence may be ongoing. It is first-hand accounts. Okay. Based on first-hand accounts of released...
As opposed to what? Or, I mean, like, these are your goal? These are the best accounts you could get, are first-hand accounts, right? Isn't this what you want? Somebody telling you they got or assaulted?
hostages, there are reasonable grounds to believe that female hostages were also subjected to other forms of violence. That's it. This is the new information that they have. Not that this is the systematic directed by Hamas in the way that the original claims were. Can we read the first-hand accounts? No, they're not. They don't have first-hand accounts. Is this enough? No, this is not enough to indict someone. Of course, it's not enough to indict someone.
Wait, this is not enough to indict somebody? You only need probable cause. What are you talking about? If I go to a cop and I say, that person me, I'm pretty sure that's probable cause for an arrest, no? Now, you might like gather other evidence or whatever for formal charges. I feel like you can convict on eyewitness testimony alone, though. This is considered direct evidence. It's direct testimony. That's kind of funny that he's like, but I don't know. That is not probable cause for an arrest? Really? If I were to go to a police officer and I were to say, last night I got by this person, what else would you need? For probable cause. If I accuse, let's look it up. If I accuse someone of, will they be arrested? Or wait, probable cause standard for accusation. It's probable cause for detention. For detention, if you detain somebody for a temporary investigation, the standard for that is, I don't know what that standard is called, but it's very low. I think it's below probable cause. To arrest somebody, I think you need probable cause, right? Oh, reasonable suspicion might be for an arrest. Probable cause is a two-pronged standard. Investigators must demonstrate that it is more likely than not that the individual targeted for arrest actually perpetrated or some other type of sexual assault. I wonder what that looks like. Demonstrate. I wonder if eyewitness testimony alone gets you there, or what else would you need? Do kits work on men? Isn't a kit just where you scoop somebody out and see if there's any foreign DNA, like semen or whatever? Witness testimony is notoriously unreliable. Big L destiny. I don't know why you're saying big L when nothing you just said contradicted anything that I just said. Witness testimony is direct evidence, and I'm pretty sure there are people that can get convicted literally on witness testimony alone. Nothing that I just said there contradicts anything that you just said. Witness testimony can also be unreliable. That is true, but it is still considered direct evidence for crimes, assuming you witnessed it.